Uh-oh.
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay.
Saints fans and who-dat from all over the world, this is Kyle T. Mosley here with Bob Rose of the Bayou Blitz. How you doing, Bob?
I'm pretty good, Mr. Mosley. How about yourself? How are you and the family?
Hanging, man, hanging in there. And we got a special guest. Bob, you want to introduce him?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce former Saints great wide receiver LonZell Hill. How are you tonight, LonZell?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. Thanks for having me on the show.
Man, it's good to see you. Can you hear? Can you hear us, LonZell? Go ahead, Bob.
Okay. LonZell, thank you so much for taking some time out. First question, and most important question. I know you're still in Seattle, right?
I am in Seattle. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Hope you and the family are staying healthy, staying safe. What's the COVID-19 lockdown situation out there for you?
Well, right now we're still on lockdown. They're trying to go through about 3 to 4 phases of opening up the city, opening up places that people can go, putting the guidelines together. I believe we've completed phase 1, but everyone is still, especially at my home, we're staying put for a while until things get handled.
That's good to hear. Great to hear, and hopefully everybody continues to stay healthy. And I know, thank you again for taking some time out of your day. I know May 12th is a bit of a extra special day to you. Do you want to tell our viewers why May 12th is extra special for you today?
Well, May 12th is the day before my mother's birthday, which is today. Is May 13th.
Oh man, that's
so
we've been locked down too.
Today is actually a very, very special day. My mom's birthday that we're celebrating. The woman who gave me the talents along with my father to be able to do the things that I've done in life. She was a very, very, very strong individual, and she passed away in 99 or 98 actually. And her legacy I'm trying to uphold and be the best son that I could possibly be and represent her well.
That's so sweet. Sorry, I got mixed up on the day. It could happen to anybody, I guess. So, before we get into your career, what have you been up to since retirement?
Yeah, I've been doing several things. I've concentrated on working with the youth, paying it forward, so to speak. My dad, who's embedded that in me since at an early age. I have an organization of my own, which is Moe Hills. Moe, play off my name, helping individuals learn life skills. Also working very diligently in the community, Boys and Girls Club, YMCAs, etc., as well as assisting at my wife's high school. She's a high school teacher. So those are the things that I've been up to. Also working, trying to get the communities better in Seattle. Even though it's a beautiful place, there's work still needs to be done.
And working with the youth in any capacity, I know firsthand could be so rewarding. So I definitely want to thank you for all the time that you take doing that, and hopefully you'll feel entitled to post links for everything that you're doing in the Seattle area and for youth in general throughout all of our pages as well.
Absolutely, I have a website that, Facebook page that Moe Hill is helping individuals learn life skills with the track program. I've had a couple national champions throughout the organization. We've had 2 national record holders who've broken national records. The biggest thing is that we put kids in college, D1 scholarships, D2 partial rides, the whole 9 yards, and be an advocate for those individuals, first and foremost, to get in school. everything else will follow behind that. If you're, whatever your talents lie, will take you there. But we want to get you in school.
Yeah, and I always had the same philosophy when I was a track coach, and it was so sometimes you do have to remind these young people that they are student athletes and not the other way around.
That's right. A lot of them want to be athletic students,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're an athletic student, you'll probably end up being there for a short haul because you've put that student behind you, and we got to make sure that lies first.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And speaking of student athletes, you yourself were a standout at the University of Washington, former Husky that came into the NFL as a second-round draft choice with New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken, in 1987. Now, your Washington program was pretty successful, and you came to a New Orleans franchise that your first year there had yet to have a winning record, let alone go to the playoffs. So tell us a little bit about the culture from where you were coming from in Washington to what you felt and what you saw when you first got to the New Orleans Saints.
Wow. That's my main claim to fame right now, is the first winning team ever in New Orleans history. From the Aints to the Saints. I remember I was getting a haircut, which is funny, at a barbershop there, and they were telling me stories about the Saints and their ticket sales, which was very limited. He said, man, that one day he left 3 tickets on the car window so to let somebody else in the game. When he came back, it was 6. So, but that first winning season was amazing. With Benson dancing and the fans going absolutely nuts. I called home. I called my mom. I said, Mom, I know why they lose all the time. She said, why? I said, probably because no one goes to sleep because it was the party city. And she said, baby, you just make sure you go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't listen very well my first year. I had to learn that. But it was a great, great time, man. The guys I played with, the Eric Martins, the Dalton Hilliard, Rickey Jackson, the Hall of Famer Rickey Jackson, I'm sorry. It was just an amazing environment, we believe. And that's something that was going strong. They were playing records and beating the 49ers. I grew up a partial 49ers fan because coming from California.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't put nothing in front of that moment. I wouldn't change a thing. I thought I was going first round, got knocked out, and was happy as a clam to be in New Orleans, man. Going 12-3, man, it was just a beautiful thing to do, and to be a part of a program that's never won to being on that first winning season, man, that place was electric.
Oh, absolutely. And I was, we'll just say, a younger boy at the time. And I remember that first season as a fan, just being so special. And that '87 team is always going to have a special place in everybody's hearts. But tell us, you told us a little bit about the culture around the team when you first got there. When did you start to notice a change throughout the locker room? And you've been a part of many winning teams throughout your athletic career, so the kind of confidence I mean when you shift from a team that hopes you can win to now a team that expects to win when you step out onto the field. Was there a moment that you started to notice that kind of culture shift in the locker room?
I did. A lot of the guys that were there pre me were let go. And there was a lot of draft picks that came in from Washington, Miami, even the SWAC. And everybody that I spoke to from college, even Stanford, have come from winning programs. And I remember, I don't know if it was.
Uh-oh.
I got you back.
Yeah, you're back.
Back here. My phone
Yes,
rung, and I don't know what happened. But the attitude was that, we let those guys go because they were used to losing, and losing was okay with them. He said, these guys here that I brought in, they don't know how to lose, and all they expect to do is win. And one thing that was really profound is that he said the guys that were here respected those other teams they expected to lose. So these guys right here, these new guys, they have no respect for no other team, and they expect to win. And that was a brilliant move. And that was the attitude, and the guys, the Rickey Jacksons, like I mentioned, who was there for years, Dalton and Eric Martin, them guys had a winning attitude. Come LSU, Rickey, he was the greatest linebacker going. I've, just looking at those guys every day. And that attitude changed because everybody fell in suit. And it was an expectation that we was going out here to win.
Yeah, and you sure did. I mean, you guys from 87 on, you evolved into one of the NFC's top contenders. Yet in your very own division.
I think I lost your sound for some reason.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, bear with me one second.
He said 1 second.
You should put your phone on. I don't know how to do it either. I didn't know that would happen to you.
I know. He switched over.
All right, LonZell, can you hear me?
Man, absolutely.
All right. Well, Bob is going to come back in. Well, look, man, you played with some great guys. I grew up knowing Eric and Dalton Hilliard and those guys, man. Tell me, what was it like in the locker room with those guys?
I loved it. Loved every minute of it. These guys were, they were true blue. The camaraderie, just me as a rookie, just being able to talk to these guys and talk to the older guys, the Jim Wilkes, and what have you, and guys who've been there, who are very seasoned. They had knowledge that was beyond the knowledge that I had in college. College, I'm just coming in there to play, and the professionalism and things that had to be done. And Sam Mills, man, rest his soul, may rest in peace, was one guy who would talk to me about the game, talk to me about preparation, talk to me about film session, talk to me about getting my butt in because you was out there too late, and you fall asleep, and he turned me on the coffee. But the locker room, man, it was when I first got there, it was locker room of hope. Every team starts off with a 0-0 record, so you're gonna win. And the more we won, the more confidence that locker room gained. You walk different in the locker room. You talk different in the locker room. Your focus is totally different. It's a winning locker room. People are holding each other accountable. Maybe a boxing match or two to get people a little act right juice. But it was, man, it was fun. You know what I'm talking about, man.
I know what you're talking
you
about.
Over there giggling.
Yeah.
Them locker rooms, man, it ain't all about just showering.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Like, can you talk to you for a second? Yeah, man. Get some act right.
Yeah, get you some of that act right juice.
That's awesome. Bob, can you hear us now?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Bob, you're back on.
Yeah. Okay, good. Listen, LonZell, everybody knows about the New Orleans Saints offense now with Drew Brees and all those weapons under Sean Payton. And then in the early part of the 2000s, Aaron Brooks, Joe Horn, Deuce McAllister, etc. People talk about the late 70s Saints offenses with Archie Manning, Thunder and Lightning in the backfield, Galbraith and Muncie. People don't talk about you guys as often. And you had yourself, Bobby behind center, Bobby Hebert, Eric Martin, Dalton Hilliard, which you mentioned, and Rueben Mayes, and a great offensive line. With all that talent on offense, were you guys ever really upset that you never really got to open up the game plan?
As a receiver, you always want that thing up in the air, running and catching. But man, we had balance. The balance was great, man. With our running backs, Dalton Hilliard, Rueben Mayes, Ironhead came in. Receivers, man. Eric Martin was probably the toughest receiver I've ever seen in my life. Him and Derek Shepard, as Derek has passed away too. But so you had to block a little taste, man, and that was something I wasn't used to doing it at Washington too much. They were saying he'll go get the ball, but the balance, man, and with that defense that we had, it's hard to talk about the offense. You had 4 Pro Bowlers. You had Pat Swilling coming off the corner, Ricky off the other one, Vaughan Johnson and Sam Mills in the middle. You had that line, man. You ain't got enough time to talk about the offense. So, man, we stayed in our lane, man, and we just had a great team and embraced it. I love watching those guys and goal line stands and what have you. When they put it up, hey, me and Eric was to go get it. I played with Mike Jones. Mike Jones was a great teacher. My rookie year, I asked him, some plays, and he said, "Man, I'll help you as much as I can because I'm not competing against you. I'm competing against the DBs," and that was something that I took in consideration in my teaching to young guys. Man, help each other. You're not competing at the same position. If you can't beat that defensive back over there, you ain't gonna play anyway.
Yeah, so
but,
true.
I tell you, man, we would have liked to put it up, but I think we did. There's a highlight film from 1989 when it says it has me and Eric Martin catching. They called us one of the most dangerous dynamic duos in the NFL at that time, and our stats were comparable to Jerry Rice and Taylor and Williams. Was me and Eric Martin, so we did our thing.
Yeah, you absolutely did. And like you said, you and Eric, put up numbers comparable with really any other receiving core in the NFC or in the NFL, with Taylor and Rice being the standard. One of our viewers, Paul T, wants to know, which team did you dislike the most? You mentioned growing up rooting for the 49ers a little bit. Now you're butting heads with them in your division twice a year.
Yeah, and I definitely let me see the most disliked team. I didn't like any of them really, but I really hated the 49ers. Even though I grew up watching them, I really did because they was always winning, and that was the standard that we had to compete with. Atlanta at that time, man, they were just it was just party city, man. You go in there and you look to get in, go buy some shoes, play a good game, and get on back with a victory. When you play them Niners, man, to just split with them meant a whole lot. I think we got robbed one time in the Dome when Jerry Rice, man, caught a touchdown long, and he dropped the ball in the back of the end zone, and it should have been a safety, but they gave him a touchdown because his name was Jerry Rice.
Yep. It was 1988, I believe. I knew the exact play you're talking about, too. 1988, I think.
That's right.
But yeah, like you said, and Atlanta and the Saints are always going to be synonymous with one of the best rivalries, most underrated rivalries in the NFL. But your time in New Orleans, you guys went 6-1 against them, so you basically owned them.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did. I'm not afraid to say it loud, man. It ain't no secrets. It ain't like ain't nothing they can do about it, man. It's all
nope.
Them games have been played.
Nope. But them 49ers, and obviously they own the win-loss record against you guys, but those were some real wars In the late
Okay.
80s and early 90s. Is that the toughest defensive backfield in general that you had played against through your career?
Well, I played, yeah, that as a whole, yeah, I would say San Francisco as a whole. Ronnie Lott, come on, yeah, he welcomed me into the league, uh, quite frankly, he did, but it wasn't a real nice way. But I said thank you. Played against the greatest, man. What I would say is probably the greatest defensive back of all time, which is Neon Dion when he was with Atlanta. Um, so man, it was a great run, man. I just feel privileged to have who have done that thing. Privileged to have been around the greatness. Um, you know, it's nothing like it, man. That feeling is amazing.
And we certainly do thank you for all your contributions on and off the field, with New Orleans and after. But when you left the Saints in the early 90s and you went to play a couple years in the CFL, had a few really good seasons with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. What led into that decision to leave New Orleans and go up north?
Well, when I left New Orleans, I was released there, and I was out a year. What really, I had a really bad knee, really bad knee. I know that's we talk about people in high school say everybody who didn't make it to the league had a bad knee, but it was actually it was actually my knee, and so I went and played and tried, and I would only play about half the games a year because my knee would swell up like a balloon. I would have to it'd take a week to go back down. Then I'd come back in for the next week, and so that's how I actually survived in Canada.
Is the knee and other injuries ultimately what led to your retirement from professional football?
Yeah, I would say the knee. I don't think it'd be difficult to come back to the NFL past a physical. I played my pretty much my entire year without an anterior cruciate ligament. Actually, I didn't have one since high school,
Wow.
and that is a blessing in itself. And it took a toll over the years of the wear and tear and what have you. But I'm so grateful for the times that I was able to to do so at a high level.
How's your health now? Are there, the knee and everything else? Are there any residual negative effects from playing?
Yeah, I'm heavy. I do have a knee that it pops out of socket. And during my sleep sometimes drive my wife crazy, and my got these fingers, man, and my feet. But other than that, I'm good, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. And folks, don't let him kid you. His pictures are up on Facebook. He looks good. He looks like he can still get out there and play. LonZell, do you make it back to New Orleans often? Do you keep in touch with a lot of your teammates?
I talked to him. Actually, last one I talked to was Dalton Hilliard, and we were making plans for me to get down there, and then all of a sudden COVID hit. They have golf tournaments I was intending on playing in. One that I think it's in Mississippi, and just getting back. My wife is really excited about getting there. I brought my track program to New Orleans. They've run AAU there. We've visited, but we plan on doing a lot more. My wife now is pretty much a stickler. She likes to travel, and she would like to just be a part and see the history of New Orleans, where it came from. Maybe I can take it to a little box that we called the locker room back then. Man, they might owe us for if COVID would have been hitting back then, we sure wouldn't have been able to go in that locker room.
No question about it. Certainly, the facilities have changed over the years. I saw a question pop up a minute ago. Your quarterback, Bobby Hebert. Do you
Yes.
think he was really underrated, for his time, or do you think he belonged in a higher regard with some of the other quarterbacks of that era?
Me, I had great respect for his talent. I would put him up against any quarterback there. You know, we ran a different system. You know, we wasn't just throwing it all over the place. If he'd have done that, stats would have been a lot higher. You know, so absolutely, he could throw it a country mile. You know, either the Cajun bomber. You know, my good story is my rookie year. Shit, the only thing I had a problem with, I couldn't understand it. You know, but he had great talent, man. He would get around in that pocket. You know, I see some plays, man. I got one in my mind, 49ers, where he dodged about 5 people and looked downfield, hit me in the end zone over man, what was number 22's name? I can just see the back of his number. I can't remember his name right now. Say that again.
Dwight Hicks, I think.
Man, come on, man. You got good memory, man. You that's why you doing this and I'm not. And I'm on the other side. But I caught the ball. And yeah, but it was I would definitely you know, rate him high. I think he was you know, rated decently. I don't think he was underrated, but I think he was maybe overlooked.
Looking now, you still follow the Saints pretty closely?
Oh, absolutely. I was asked the other day, man. So do you know what's the second best team? I said, excuse me? They say, what's your other team? I said, man, what kind of fan is you? You don't get 2 teams. You know, man, I'm Saints all day long, man. I live in Seattle and I don't like the Seahawks. And they, quite frankly, they don't like me.
Now we just got a question, and I'm always interested because you know what it's like when you and I both know what it's like if you're an athlete once you get older. The 40 times get a little bit faster now. So we were asked to ask you, what was your 40 time pre-knee injury?
Pre-knee, I was timed at 4.42, 4.43, 4.44 on up. Now 4 days, 3 days.
So listen. Speaking of fast guys, do you see the Saints team now? Do you see them using Deontay Harris, their star kick returner, more on the offense this year?
I wish they would. Man. There's man, that slot position. Oh, come on, man. And the 5 eyes, man, you one-on-one. That little Chris, he's so quick, man, and just get him the ball because you know he can run it.
Yeah.
You know, we know he can run it. Just get him in space. Get him in space, man. And our talents, man, Kamar and them suckers, they get in space, man, and it's on. I would love to see him get that ball, man. Would love to see him get that ball.
Yeah, you're not the only one, and Deontay's coming into his second year. They have a couple other receivers that are going to be in their second year in the system. You had your biggest jump in production in your career production from year 1 to year 2. Is there a light bulb that kind of clicks on? Does it take a full off season into the system? Why is that year 1 to year 2 jump so vital?
First of all, you grow up. It's you play more games in the NFL, and the talent. You realize that you ain't playing Oregon State no more. You know, the mismatches are not really there. You know, as they were in college. College, you can move sucker around and find a 4.8 guy. You ain't finding one of them in the league. So you're and the preparation, the game film. You know, I watched game film in college, but you know, it really wasn't that as important as the NFL because everybody's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can play. You know, I tell people when I give public speaks and I talk to high school kids and I say, man, you guys, I hear you guys calling. Man, I heard you call somebody a scrub, and he's in the NFL. I said that guy you talking about is probably the best athlete you've ever seen in your life in person, and you're calling him a scrub. I said if he came down here and played with anybody you know, man, you think his name was God. So, so it's a learning experience, man. It's learning how to compete. Learning how to compete and learning the talents. And when you say open is guys right next to you. You're open. That's you. Ain't gonna be no 4 yards and somebody done you done broke their ankle, so to speak, as the young kids say. And nah, that's not happening. You better catch that ball in traffic. Expect to get hit real hard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not today. You don't get hit hard today. Not these
Right.
days. These days, man, you catch it and guard your flag. Catch it, guard your flag, and you'll be all right, man. But that's the thing. And then in the locker room, you got to you got women all around. Let's be real with it. And you young boy, and you got a whole lot of money. Man, a whole lot of women coming at you, a whole lot of investments. You got your head is swimming. You got your family asking for more money than everybody else. Man, so you leave out of there, you got $2 left from your first year. Then you go into your second year, you say, I'm gonna concentrate a little bit here, save a little money. And I didn't already talk to all the women that I'm gonna talk to. Now I can concentrate and play some football.
LonZell, we just got a question from our friend Paul T. Can you see Emmanuel Sanders, who's coming over from San Francisco into the Saints system? Can you see Emmanuel Sanders having a big year in New Orleans?
I like him, man. He is man. I didn't like him at San Francisco. The reason I like him there because I didn't think the system was for him.
Yeah.
Playing with Breeze. Oh man, and the fluidness and the cutting ability and the knowledge of the game, man, he's gonna take a whole lot of pressure off my big boy and Kamara and Breeze and man, yes, man, that was a great addition.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, Sanders did have some nice moments in San Francisco, but it seems like he was tailor-made with his route running ability for this Sean Payton system.
Absolutely.
And speaking of Sean Payton's system, that would have kind of been tailor-made for your type of game. I mean, you were equally effective from both the outside and the slot. You were known as a deep receiver in New Orleans, but anybody that watched the Saints, saw you go over the middle plenty of times. Do you ever just sit back in moments like that and say, man, I wish that system was in place when I played?
So look, no disrespect to any of the coaches or the coaches that I played with, man, I would dream. That would be a dream to play in a system like that. That thing is wide open, man. As a receiver, as a running back, as wide open as that game is, man, and defense is staying on their heels and not knowing, what's coming at them, man. And that Breeze standing back there looking all over the place, head moving so quick, man. Yes, man. I don't know nobody who wouldn't. If I was a free agent right now, man, that'd be the first place I'd look. I'm saying, especially as a receiver. It's just absolute blessing to watch. It's entertaining. I stay glued to the TV. And they win it, and that's key too.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. We have a question from Who Dat Humor asking, what was do you have a most memorable catch or a most memorable moment or two that you can share?
my most memorable moment, I have a lot of them, man, just playing there. Just all of them was memorable. Catching a touchdown pass from Dalton Hilliard in San Francisco. And my mom, may she rest in peace, and today's her birthday, was in the corner of the end zone to where I received that ball. My second most memorable, I had a group of friends. Now, understand this, and I wish they was listening to this right now. Or send me a copy of this.
Absolutely.
I'm from Stockton, California, born and raised. We playing in San Diego. Now, I tell these guys, I got 5 partners that's coming to the game. I give them all tickets, and they sitting in there. Now, they spend their time. They don't come to my hotel, visit me before the game. They go to Mexico. And so they all bought sombreros. So I said, this is when ESPN was just now coming out real good. I said, man, I'm going to catch a touchdown pass. And when I catch it, I want y'all to throw me the sombreros. Mind you, Bobby Hebert drops back. I'm on the inside. I run an inside fade. He throws it up. I lays out. I dove. Caught the touchdown on a diving catch in the end zone. I jumped up. My friends were right in front of me. And I pointed to them. And I put my hands back. I said, telling them, throw them. They did not throw the damn sombreros.
Oh man, they killed you.
They didn't let the sombreros go.
Ah.
So I said, man, you know, if y'all, every time I talk to one of them today, the first thing I say is, man, you should have threw the damn sombrero. You would be an ESPN legend.
Yeah.
Man, that would have been all over. If y'all threw me, all the sombreros came at me. I'd have did a little dance with the sombrero. That would have been still playing today, man.
You better believe it. With all the celebrations and everything, you know, even from back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, you'd have been legendary. Your friends killed you.
Man, they killed me. I'd have been legend. I'd have been ESPN legend. And they don't have the sombreros till today.
They could have lived in
infamy. Where them damn sombreros?
Hey, what was Jim Mora truly like as a coach inside of those walls?
Stickler. Perfectionist. No nonsense. No nonsense. And no nonsense. Man, he'd be expected. I mean, you know, practice, back then, he'd start practice over. You know, and we professionals, we done been halfway through this thing. No, man. We even stretch over. And man, you're gonna get it done, you know, the right way. He's a winner, had a great winner's attitude. You know, I came from Don James, where you know, he came from, and military guy, man, you know, walk a straight line, you know, get on it and get her done. And get her, that's his word, get her done. Yeah.
Did you carry a lot of those philosophies from Coach James, who was legendary as well? Coach James and Coach Mora. Do you carry a lot of those philosophies into the way that you work with youth and athletes now?
All the time. All the time. I learned a lot from the coaches, their philosophies, their way they approached the game. The game was business. You know, the guys they put in more work than people know. You know, they sacrifice for their families. Man, it's you know, I played with at University of Washington with a couple of Coach Mora's sons, and you know, it's tough, man. You think it was tough playing for him, man. Yeah, you go home to that house, man. But I learned so much, man, and you know, in my presentations, in my it transfers into your work ethic when you have a coach like that. So that's something that you can't get away from. It's going to stick in you regardless.
we were asked a question a minute ago, and I usually despise talking about referees, but the way the game is officiated now compared to when you played, which do you think negatively affected the game more, then or now?
Now, I think there's too much pressure to be a referee right now. You know, you got a camera on you, man. Back in our days, all you do is call a game. You know, you get hollered at by the coach and the fans. Now, man, you may receive death threats, man, with all them reviews and, you know, man, how you make a call and knowing they getting ready to go look at the camera and take it in slow motion about the call you saw that at a blink of an eye, and you got to make that right call. Yeah, that's why the game's so slow. They don't know what to call. Hell, then they say, man, if I call it wrong, they gonna look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, you know, and shit, when they do call it wrong and don't change it and don't make a adjustment, a la Saints.
Yeah.
Hell, man, anybody could have called that thing. And now if we played in our day, man, we wouldn't expect the call. We played through it because, you know, hey, it is what it is. But now if you're going to go up under here and review this thing and you see 4 referees looking at it and you got a man in New York looking at it and I can't get a change, man, come on, man. That makes absolutely no sense. But it you know, you still got to play the game. But it's hard to be a ref, man. It's hard. I wouldn't be one. Hey, eventually they're gonna take the refs out. They better get all the money they can, because hell, the cameras is gonna ref the game. Yeah, yeah, it's almost happening now. The refs don't even make calls. They just go to the camera. You know, what the ref call, man? He still got his flag in his pocket.
And I was going to ask you that too. Is sort of a follow up to the viewer that asked the question before. Does the over officiating and just nitpicking at every tiny thing now, does that affect you negatively as a player when you know that a referee or a certain officiating crew is going to call things tighter or call things looser than maybe the previous game?
Well, I hate watching my receivers and the DBs. That's the worst part of the game now. And I was a receiver. Every time you see a receiver go out for a pass, he looking for a dang flag. Every time a defensive back, man, I pity them because they can't play. Every time they make a play, they don't know whether to celebrate or drop their head. You see watch a game. When you watch the game, you see they make a play and turn look to the ref. You know, that first thing they do, make a play, look at the ref. You know, and then they celebrate. No flag, woo! That's probably why they're happy, because it wasn't no flag. It wasn't a play today. Yeah, every play, man, receivers, ball go over their head, they turn to the ref. How much they got held? Flag. Everything. I said, man, just play the game, man. Take some of the calls out, man. You know, pass interference. It's so a fine line.
Mm-hmm.
The ref don't know what to call. Just don't call it. Go take pass interference out the game. Just let them play.
Yeah. Now listen, you told us a little bit about what you did, between your first and second year, and some of the contributions you expect Deontay Harris and Emmanuel Sanders to make this year. When you're watching a receiver like Traquan Smith, we've seen 2 years out of Trey now, and that light bulb just doesn't seem to have come on yet. What's missing in his game?
More confidence. You know, there's a saying. Why is the lion the king of the jungle? He ain't the biggest, he ain't the fastest, he ain't the strongest, he ain't the smartest. It's all about attitude. Because everybody out there got great talent. Everybody on that field has great talent. It's the attitude. When they threw a ball, Eric Martin and I used to talk, when they threw a ball up, that's our ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't throw it to the DB. He threw it to me. So if it's in front of me or it's in front of you, DB, he didn't throw that to you. That's my ball. Go get the ball. And you have to have confidence in your abilities. I talked to a bunch of guys who was in the NFL that I played college with, Joe Kelly, best friend of mine, played with the Bengals. And it's confidence. It's confidence in your abilities, confidence in your hands, confidence in what you can do on the field. You have the ability. It's a lot of times guys that are not even as good got more confidence. I had a guy. I'll tell you a story. I had a guy. I won't mention his name because he played with me at UW. But on paper, now I ran 4.45, 4.42, 4.44, 4.4, all that stuff right there. He was 4.3 man. But I tell him, I say, you can't beat me running. He said, man, I run a 4.31. I said, but you can't beat me running. Because he never beat me running. Every time we do mat drills, we'd race head to head, I'd beat him every time. And he'd be pissed off. He tell me today, he said, man, you used to piss me off. I said, why? He said, because I couldn't beat you. I said, you know why you couldn't beat me? I said, you was probably faster than I was, but you believed me when I told you couldn't. Because I stayed in your head. And I believed that you couldn't beat me. So I believe me and you believe me. You had two strikes against you. So if he can get that confidence, man, but because he's a great receiver. He's a great player. Just gotta play.
We'll get you to hook up with him. He's the kind of coach, or you're the kind of coach he needs, I think, at this point in his career. We talked about your fond memories of New Orleans.
Hold on, wait a minute, man. You're giving me a job.
Traquan Smith, my friend, if you are listening, we have your individual coach on the line right now. All you need to do is get a hold of Bob Rose, Kyle Mosley, or the man himself, LonZell Hill. He will set you right. He will tell you how to beat defenses. He will tell you how to be the next dominant New Orleans Saints wide receiver.
And absolutely, and that he can be, though. And that he can be.
He does. You're right. He does have the skill set. I mean, he has the size and the speed that NFL coaches covet. You see him make these acrobatic catches in traffic, and then you see him disappear for 4 and 5 games at a time.
And then I pick him up on my fantasy team, and then he disappears.
Maybe that's what it was. Are there any times from your games or moments from your time as a New Orleans Saint? And I realize we try to go through life without regret, but we're also human. There are any moments where you really sit back and say, "Man, I want that back. I would sell my left pinky finger to have that moment back."
One argument I had with Bobby Hebert, and I think that the respect that I had, it was an incident, man. We losing, when you lose, man, things get heated, and some couple things said, helmets tossed, and all that. That would be one. I think I lost my cool. I lost my composure. That right there, my career, any plays I made, what have you, that's gonna happen. That that's the game of football. But those character moments is what I look at.
Wow. And we want to thank you again for taking some time out. I hope it won't be the last time we have you on. I hope you had as much fun as I did.
Oh, I had a ball, man. This is reminiscing. This is great times. I'll probably go look at a little highlight film of myself and put my wife through it and have her watch it with me, and she's gonna say, we're gonna watch this again, and I'm gonna say yes, and yeah, but I can't wait. Maybe I can have her make a cameo or something right here. But here she is. This is my wife.
Well, hello, lovely. How are you tonight?
I'm well, thank you. And you?
I am good. We're hanging in there. Thank you so much for giving your husband a few free moments to join us tonight and walk down memory lane. He was one of my favorite Saints when when he donned the 87 for him.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that, for the compliment for him and for allowing him to be on your show. He really enjoyed it, and I enjoy watching him be happy.
Hey, you could just see him beaming.
That's
He's
right.
smiling ear to ear. I love it.
I'm beaming, man. We're coming to town. We'll reach out to you. You in New Orleans?
I actually live in Pittsburgh, but I come down to New Orleans a couple times a year for
You live in
games.
Pittsburgh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You ever come out this way?
Yeah, Craig Hayward from Pittsburgh, man. His son is with little head is what
Yeah.
well, that's when we was playing. He was
Hey,
little
right.
head, now he big head. He ain't a little head no more, man. So him and his mom Charlotte down there in Pittsburgh. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Obviously, Ricky's from Ricky played his ball at Pittsburgh too. So.
Slick Rick.
Yep.
The Hall of Famer Rickey Jackson.
The Hall of Famer Rickey Jackson. He is not. He should not be the only member of that Dome Patrol team in that Hall of Fame. Tell me that.
Ooh, you said a mouthful. Yes, indeed. You said a mouthful.
I mean, Pat Swilling said, hey, you guys were great on offense, like we talked about earlier. But defense was the name of the game then. Pat Swilling and Sam Mills. What's that?
The Soul Patrol.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, Sam Mills, Pat Swilling, they both need to have busts. Vaughan Johnson, rest his soul too. All four of them should be in there.
That's right.
All four of them. So before we let you go, tell people how they can track down your youth foundation and what you do for the athletes.
Well, you can look at Moe Hills at yahoo.com. www.mohills.org to see what we're doing. Moe Hills, Moe helping individuals learn life skills on Facebook. And you can look at my Facebook too. You'll see me doing a lot of love stuff for my wife, but I'm still working with the youth, and I love our fans, love our community, and thank you for the support of the New Orleans Saints day in and day out. You guys are loved more than you can imagine. You the backing, and you've won games for us, believe it or not, by that momentum. So anytime I can give back and talk to the people that we played for, and I think you guys played just as hard as we did. So thank you, and man, I'll talk again if you'll have me.
For sure, anytime. You consider this an open invite. You are family. We are Who Dat family, and it's the least we could do for everything you've done for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and you take care, LonZell. Thank you so much.
All right, you as well.
Who that? Man, great interview, Bob.
Oh man, he carried it, man. LonZell, it goes right in that basket of such terrific guests, such terrific former players, that we've had, and as well as I do, Kyle. This is all a family, and it does. It feels like you're getting together with a member of the family when you get together with a former member of the New Orleans Saints, and really he's just ear to ear grinning when he's talking about those memories. It makes me feel like I'm a kid again too.
Yeah. One thing I loved about it was just the genuine spirit, and he is connected with us, and you can still feel that he has a lot of love for the Who Dat Nation, man.
Yeah, he absolutely does, and just one of those players. The years that he gave to us, goes down as an all-time great. And the fact that he still follows the team and the organization so closely, he could put his analysis of what he just gave us about the Saints receivers now. He could put all that analysis up right with the best of them, because he hit so many nails on the head. Right.
Good stuff, man. I see Paul T. He says he's in Northern Virginia. VA. What's going on, Paul? Well, you and Paul need to hook up.
Yeah, we do. Only a couple hours, and I see you, Scoob. Where are you at in PA?
No response yet. But anyway, look, man, good interview. Mo was great. Go and be able to support his organization if you guys have an opportunity to do so. Bob, anything on the horizon? Hold on. Let's see. He's in Philly.
Philly, that's across the state. That's a good part of the state. I'm over in Western Pennsylvania. But I might make a trip out there when our Saints travel up north to face the Eagles this year. So I'm glad to know that I might have a friend in the stadium other than our friends down on the football field.
Yeah, that should be a good one. The city of brotherly love.
Just like I got no love for no Cowboys, but Emmitt Smith was always a good interview. Former Cowboys great running back. And I remember him talking about Philadelphia, kind of making fun of that moniker. And he goes, there ain't no brotherly love, no love for this brother in Philly.
No, not especially after breaking their hearts time and time again.
Right.
So yeah. All right, Bob, tell us what's going on with the Who Dat Nation, man. Any news that the Saints fans should be aware of, or anything that's going on that should pique their interest?
Well, listen, we know that the big news over the last couple of days, was the release of Pro Bowl guard Larry Warford. Shouldn't have come as a big surprise to many. Larry's a great guy, and he will hook on with someone. He's still got some football left. But that opened the door for a Cesar Ruiz and Eric McCoy combination at guard center, whoever ends up where. That move makes this offensive line a lot more athletic, a lot younger, and all of them are under contract for at least the next 3 seasons. So that is key as well. And the Warford move, and we covered the other reasons why Warford got released, through the Saints News Network articles. But another key, and this is something to watch in the next couple of weeks, Warford's release opens up about $8.5 million of cap space. Depending on the way the magician Mickey Loomis and that front office juggles their numbers, that could be 1 to 2 good, solid starting caliber players that are going to bolster your depth. So keep an eye out for if the Saints do bring in another cornerback, a wide receiver. We've been hearing noise, you and I have today, Kyle, about a defensive end or an edge rusher. So keep an eye out. There's still some big free agent names out there to be had. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints made a run at least one more top player.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned that in my article this morning about the 3 positions that need to be addressed. The cornerback, like you said, the linebacking core. Really, once you start to really look at after Demario Davis and after who else? Kiko Alonso, who was injured, right? Craig Robertson is the only other healthy guy that's on the team. Then you have a couple of rookies. You got Zach Bond and you have Bocce, right? But who else? Alex Anzalone has been injured. Caden Ellis was injured. Alonso was injured last season as well. So we need to be able to address that, possibly bring in a veteran presence. I pitched out the guy from the Giants. We need to probably look at him. But, when you also look at what's going on with the Saints, pay attention to that cornerback core as well, man. And, Bob, you elaborated on that earlier this year. What are your thoughts there?
Well, first of all, about linebacker, I would love to see them bring in another linebacker. Anzalone and Kiko Alonso are terrific compliments to Demario Davis when they're healthy. The problem is that when hasn't happened nearly often enough, for the Saints' need. A guy like I like Nigel Bradham, linebacker-wise. I like Nigel Bradham. You mentioned Ogletree from the Giants. I think would be a great veteran fit. But yeah, you're right. I have been calling for the Saints to bring in another cornerback, if not draft, which they didn't, other than our friend Keith Washington and Tino Ellis as undrafted rookies. But I think that I really do think that they need another veteran presence at cornerback. I would love to see him bring Eli Apple back in. He knows the system. Eli has played some good, solid football, for the New Orleans Saints, and he's not going to be a number 2 cornerback if they bring back Eli or anybody for that matter. He would be your 3rd cornerback, and that would move PJ Williams down the depth chart and allow that defensive backfield to move around Chauncey Gardner-Johnson a little bit more, which would maximize his potential. And if not Eli Apple, there's another guy that almost should have made the team last year coming out of preseason, Kayvon Webster. Certainly not Apple's caliber at cornerback, or a guy like Morris Claiborne, Drake Kirkpatrick, or Darquez Denard, all former number 1 picks.
Right. And I think Denard, man, think about it. If he has an opportunity to get into Aaron Glenn's system and work with him, because his technique is one of the main reasons why the Bengals let him go, right? His former number 1 draft pick, you would think he would have more opportunities. But, it's all about coaching too, man. You get into the right coaching tree, you can be able to make a name for yourself. I see you, Nader. Nader said, man, he wants to address the cornerbacks, the linebackers, as well as the D ends. Look at Everson Griffin, Apple, Clay Matthews. What about Clay Matthews? What are your thoughts there?
If somebody like Clay, and I would love Everson Griffin in a Saints uniform. I mean, my God, how could you not? But you bring in a guy like Clay Matthews, he is well past his prime. What I didn't realize was Clay still had, I think, 7.5 sacks with the Rams last year.
He did, yes.
So he could still get after the passer, just not on an every down basis. You're not going to need Clay Matthews to be on the field every down in this Saints defense. He becomes a situational pass rusher, and you use him on a limited basis. He can conserve that energy. He's going to be fresher down the stretch. He is the kind of guy that if you use him in that way, he's exactly the kind of veteran guy that could make that big sack in, late in the stages of a playoff game that's really close, that might turn the tide. The Saints could use some of that. Yeah.
Well, but here's the concern I have. There's nobody at that Sam spot right now, right? Are we going to turn over the Sam spot to Zach Bond, right? And if so, we did that before with Stephon Anthony, right? Mm-hmm. So what do we do? That's why I think Ogletree would be a great fit. Veteran leadership, been there before, can hold down the position. Pairing him with DeMario Davis makes sense, in my opinion, right? And also, I think he's not too far off for Kyle Harley to be able to wizard a deal again for Loomis and be able to put something together, man. So I don't know. I just think we have an opportunity to address these positions with freeing up the cap space that Warford was hugely taking up, right? Paul T., what's wrong with Janoris Jenkins? I love his playing ability. Just need to have more depth. Yeah, and that's what we're talking about, depth. So walk us through this, Bob, and give the picture to the fans. You have Marshawn, you have Jenkins. Mm-hmm. What's next?
P.J. Williams.
Who else? P-Rob.
Patrick Robinson.
Dietrich Nichols.
A friend of ours.
XFL star, right? Mm-hmm. Then you have the 2 rookies.
Yeah.
That's our defensive backfield, guys. And we need to try to get another veteran in place. Like you say, Eli Apple makes sense. If you have Eli Apple, he already understands the concept. I don't know if he wants to come back or, after how things played out. between he and the Raiders. Is he looking for a new home or what? But Eli Apple already understands what we're doing. I don't know if he'll beat out Jenkins, but it's always good to have competition, right? Mm-hmm. But if not, those other young guys that we talked about do make sense as well. Yeah,
and listen, I like Dietrich Nichols. I'm anxious to see what he can do in a Saints uniform. I love Keith Washington's game. We talked to him last week. And folks, if you missed last week's show, go back and see our interview with Keith Washington. He will get you excited. He will make you want to turn on the film. But the issue is, I see it. I'm going to ignore it, Scoop. The issue is Keith Washington, Tino Ellis, Dietrich Nichols. They're all unproven at the NFL level. They might step forward. Any one of the three or all three could step forward and be the next great cornerback. But, and Nader just made the comment here, with no OTAs and no mini camps, that's a tough ask for basically a rookie to come in. You want someone with experience, and preferably someone that knows the Saints system, like you have been talking about, Kyle. And the Saints have predicated their entire offseason towards bringing in players that know their system. Right. And Eli Apple, you're right. I couldn't see Eli Apple beating out Janoris Jenkins. And I love Jack Rabbit. I think Jenkins and Lattimore make arguably the best starting cornerback duo in the NFL. But how many NFL teams are going to line up down after down with just two wide receivers? None. So you need a third and a fourth cornerback of starting caliber in today's NFL. That's Eli Apple. That's Darqueze Dennard. That's Dre Kirkpatrick. It's those type of guys.
Look, man, we can go after a receiver all we want. I don't really know if that's the right move right now. Shoring up the defense is the right move, in my opinion. All the guys we talked about, from the linebacking core to the the cornerbacks, and the defensive ends. Now, we did bring in Marcus Hunt, right? And Hunt is a huge, huge guy. Talking about what, 6'7", and he can get after the quarterback. He gave Patrick Mahomes some fits during the playoff runs, right? Mm-hmm. But let's go back to our defense. We've got to have some depth at the linebacking core. We've got to have some depth that we can rely on and trust in with the cornerbacks. When Marshawn went out of that game for the Vikings, what exactly did Kirk Cousins do that next play?
He did the same thing that all NFL quarterbacks do when they see P.J. Williams or Patrick Robinson lined up. And to your point, Robinson is the one that stepped in place of Marshawn Lattimore, and the very next play is the deep play that set up the winning score. And there's no a little disrespect to Patrick Robinson. He's flat out a liability when he's on the football field. P.J. Williams, he's a coverage liability when asked to play man coverage, particularly on the outside, but also in the slot. PJ has some value as an off-the-ball defender. He's a terrific tackler. He has nice range. He played terrific when he stepped in place at free safety for Marcus Williams for a game or two last year, which is what I always thought was PJ's more natural position, was safety. You need a guy that's going to step up and man up on another opposing wide receiver. And that's where I don't have any confidence whatsoever in Patrick Robinson or P.J. Williams when they're asked to do that in that capacity.
Exactly. Nader says the defense needs more focus. The defense had problems getting stops on a lot of those final drives. That's why we have Mr. Malcolm Jenkins back with the New Orleans guys. Bottom line, coaching that defensive backfield, telling them what to expect, how to play the game, what techniques to use, the coach in the defensive backfield. No disrespect to Marcus Williams. He's not there yet. No disrespect to those guys. I don't know who else could have been able to do that other than Malcolm Jenkins. And, you know, I really feel as though he's going to be an asset for us, especially when we make a playoff push at the end of the season. Okay? All right, guys. Good stuff. Anything else you'd like to talk about, Bob?
I mean, boy, yeah, we still have a chunk of the off season to go before we start our training camp previews. And if folks, Kyle and I are going to have more guests. Hopefully some more current Saints. Definitely a couple more blasts from the past. And like we're talking about tonight, don't sleep on the fact that the Saints might bring in another free agent. We think it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball, but as we know with Sean Payton in this franchise, anything is possible. They're still going to make some news, so stay tuned to us.
Yeah, and Nader brought up a great point. It's also going to help out, speaking of Malcolm Jenkins, it's going to help out Gardner Johnson to be able to excel and propel that young man. Look, Bob and I said this. Remember, we were on point on this, man. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is for real, guys.
Mm-hmm.
He's for real. And that young man is going to be a star in the National Football League. Let's see. Paul, good point. Mosley. Yep. Thank you, Paul T. Great point, Nader. All right, guys. We're going to kind of wrap things up. But before we do, I've got to give some love. I got my Bro Show shirt on. Delvin Bro, man. Delvin Bro, give Bro some love. Go to his Bro Apparels. Hopefully we'll get to be able to put that on. Peace, Nader. Logan Ryan, Chris is too expensive right now. Saints can't put them in that little $9.2 million that we have left in cap space. So, yeah, that's not going to be a part of the equation for the Who Dat Nation. All right. Bob, tell everybody how they can find you on the World Wide Web.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight and all of your questions and comments. You guys are what makes this fun. And special thank you to LonZell Hill for taking some time out. I don't know if you viewers noticed, he was in his car when he was doing his show. So that's how much this appearance meant to him tonight. So it means a lot to us that he took some time out, and I hope it's not going to be the last time. I loved you as a player. Love talking to you tonight. And thank you again for everything you've done. With the Saints and since your time with the Saints. As far as me and my work, I can be followed on Facebook, Bob Rose, or Twitter at BobbyR2613. Our Bayou Blitz has a Facebook page, so please join up the Bayou Blitz Facebook page and jump into that family that we have going on. If you're already a member, thank you, and nothing but love for what you guys do for us to make our job so much easier. And of course, the easiest way to follow my work and Kyle's work is through the Saints News Network and SI.com. So thank you for all your support there as well.
Yeah, definitely. And guys, two things I'd like to say. Thank y'all for all the support and all the love. Thank y'all for taking a look at our tweets that we have, as well as our Facebook postings, and getting involved and helping us out. And putting the word out that the Saints News crew is for real. And we're going to bring you the great content that we have. Expect more from John Hendricks, Bob Rose, Brendan Borland, as well as Dr. C. Carla Antoine. Man, you got to read some stuff. She got a piece coming out on the NFL. It's going to be pretty good, as well as myself. And we're going to be adding on some new guys to the crew. So just check us out from time to time. Let us know how we could be able to get better. We are here for you. So go to www.si.com/NFL/Saints for all the latest in the Saints News crew. Okay, so, and also don't forget, visit sonofasaint.org. Man, I did a great piece on Sonny Lee, and as well organization. They're doing some great work for the fatherless boys over there, as well as going on with COVID-19. Support them, support the first responders, support the nurses, support everybody that's helping out throughout this COVID-19 pandemic. And guys, thank you for the Falcon Report. Chris and Jeremy and those guys had a great time with you guys earlier today debating. It wasn't no debate, man. I knocked him out the first round. I just want to let you guys know the Falcons know that they got problems still, right? So it wasn't any debate, man. So, and guys, yeah, look, check out our guy over at Q, Big Q, man, at the Sports Coma. Man, he is for real. Check him out. Well, we like him. He is a really cool dude. And check out all of those guys. And check out Nada and Brian. Don't check those guys out at WOK. Those are some good cats. All right. This is County Mosley with Bob Rose of the Bayou Blitz. Bob. Peace, man.
You too, my friend. Who dat?
Who dat? Take care.